Hello, garden friends, and welcome to my July backyard garden tour. So much has changed in my garden. I can't wait to show you, including a brand new garden area that I call my wishing well garden. First, let me start this tour by saying yes, my beautiful Elizabeth Bougainvillea is blooming again. A lot of people ask me, how do I get my Bougainvillea to bloom so much? Well, I can tell you, you don't want to love it to death. The more you neglect it, the more it loves you. So I only water it maybe once a week in the summertime, and I don't fertilize it very much at all. Maybe once in spring, again in fall. You really don't need to baby it. It's not a foo-foo plant. So that is a tip for you, how I get it to bloom. I don't try. Plus, I do live in California, Garden Zone 9B, so of course they love the heat. They love to be warm. And because I have it against this garage wall, it gets a lot of heat. So lots of warmth, lots of sun. Don't fertilize it too much and don't drown it. And you can have a bougainvillea that will bloom well for you in your garden too. And of course, my beautiful Supertunia Vista bubblegum is once again taking center stage. Now, this is the second time I have cut it back this season. And within weeks, it grows back and makes beautiful new blooms. This is only one plant, and she's inside a vintage bathtub that I found in San Francisco. Somebody was actually remodeling a hotel and throwing this away. I actually got two vintage bathtubs. This is one of them, and it's complete with all the feet. And also inside is a citrus blend lantana. A lot of people wouldn't pair orange and red and pink together, but I think the colors are beautiful. And also, this is one plant. Since we're talking about petunias, let me show you another alternative to the Proven Winners Supertunia Vista bubblegum. I also grow wave petunias. You'll see wave petunias in pink pots instead of white pots like the Proven Winners. And the wave petunias, I think, are so beautiful, and they do so well for me in my garden. What makes these petunias a little different than the Proven Winners is the flowers are bigger, and these don't bunch up in a mound like the Proven Winners petunias. These spread out further. So this is actually 3 plants. 1, 2, and 3. But they're good for trailing, and I think the colors are spectacular. But yeah, the wave petunias, don't underestimate these or overlook them. Look at how beautiful they are. And of course, I do have to spray them with BT. Otherwise, the cabbage moths and caterpillars would decimate them. And there's my sweet dog Abby with my old cat Cookie. And there's some vinca growing down here. I grow vinca in my garden every year. And I think it's so beautiful and colorful. Normally I grow wave petunias in these hanging baskets, but the creeping Jenny and the vinca minor really took over in these pots, and there was really no room to put them in there unless I got a shovel and kind of stabbed the stentor, but I didn't want to kill the plants. So this year it's just the green foliage. No room for the wave petunias, but I don't think the garden is lacking any pink color by all means. Now in this pot, it's empty. That's because I'm getting ready to plant a miniature rose. It's right there. Okay, this is my little patio table where I do a lot of my work, so I don't always show that. I know you probably have an area in your garden that isn't the most beautiful, your little workstation. Well, that's mine. I picked up that little garden sign at an antique shop. It's not an antique, it's like a little gift, a novelty item, but I think it's so cute because it points to the rest of my garden. But before we go over there, let me show you how wonderful my little bird bath garden is doing. Because I did disassemble my bridge garden, I put my little Frankie the Fisher boy on top of the bird bath. But look at my beautiful impatiens. Those have really spread out nicely, except for those ones right there. I let the chickens out and they kind of scratched over there, so I had to plant a couple more. And over here is my cottage garden. I have 2 Martha Washington geraniums. I love the colors. And can you believe it? But that's only 1 plant. And then I recently just planted another one right there to balance them out. So that'll take a while to grow. And I found this cute little bench at a garage sale. It wasn't painted. I did that myself. But some lady's husband made it. He passed away, so it was kind of an honor to put it in my garden, and I put my own little touches on it. And inside this pot is a creeping Jenny. I think it's so whimsical how it's just kind of growing down and adding a little green foliage. And just so you know, I started with 1 creeping Jenny in my plant, and I have multiplied creeping Jenny just by taking pieces with the roots and sticking them in soil. Let me show you all the creeping Jenny I have in my garden. It's truly amazing how 1 plant can make so many. All the creeping Jenny in this vintage kettle came from 1 plant. All the creeping Jenny in these hanging pots, yep, came from 1 plant. The creeping Jenny above my vintage stove came from 1 plant. The creeping Jenny in this hanging bird cage, yep, came from 1 plant. And the creeping Jenny over in this terracotta pot, yep, all came from the same plant. And I have more throughout my garden. It's one of the easiest things to propagate. That's why I highly recommend you try it. Okay, so this is the back side of my garden. There's 3 vegetable boxes, although I don't grow vegetables. And look at the cute little horseshoe flower and an old Model A wheel with some horseshoes. I love rust. I just love rusty items. And here's a couple more of those wave petunias I was telling you about. This one's pink, like in my vintage bathtub, and this one is purple. I just planted that yesterday, so let's give that time to grow nicely. And this is called a society garlic. It's like one of those agapanthus, but the leaves are thinner, more delicate, and the stalks are a little bit more delicate as well. They're thinner than the agapanthus, also known as lily of the Nile. You see a lot of those planted along the freeway. Sometimes I call them freeway plants or landscaping plants, but the society garlic is just a little bit more delicate and pretty. And the reason why it's called society garlic is because if you pick off a stem, a leaf I mean, you rub it and smell it, it smells like garlic. Very interesting, huh? I used to have a euphorbia ascot rainbow growing over here in this corner, but you know, I said it just wasn't wowing me and it wasn't doing spectacular. So I said I'll change it up a little bit, and the reason why I love this little corner is because I love little nooks and crannies and garden vignettes of interest. Because my garden is so small, I figured I'll just utilize all the space that I have with little pockets of interest. So this is just 3 terracotta pots that are stacked, nothing special, nothing's holding them together except the weight. And I planted succulents over here because succulents don't require hardly any care. You can ignore them and they will do better. And if I can grow something that's beautiful, that doesn't require my attention, all the better. So you will notice that I am starting to incorporate a lot of succulents into my garden. I've also incorporated succulents into my children's fairy garden. I'm a busy grandma. I don't always have time to water my entire garden twice a day. So the succulents, I can just water them once a week and they always look beautiful. Yeah, I have a couple in patience back there, but I'll probably transition those out as well and add more succulents. And I don't always know the name of everything, but I can tell you that look at the pretty bloom stalks on these. They're so interesting. I know this one is called a rock purslane. And oh my goodness, I just planted that like a month ago and it's already doubled in size. And it makes these beautiful long shoots with the most beautiful purple flowers on the edges. And yes, I have a bottle tree. I just hammer rebar into the ground, different lengths, and then I stick bottles and vases right on top. And I paint all the doors myself with the help of my grandchildren. And of course, I call this area my succulent propagation station. This is where I started getting into succulents. You know, they're so addicting because they're so easy to grow and propagate. This is just 3 park benches. I stacked one on top of the other and painted them. I think they're starting to fade though. They could use a fresh coat of paint when I have free time. Yeah, right. But I love the look of terracotta and succulents. It just looks so, I'm going to use the word rustic again, just so rustic and charming. And I even love it more when the terracotta pots get calcium deposits and they form this beautiful patina. But of course, if you buy brand new terracotta pots, did you know that you can age them instantly yourself? I've heard some people say they put yogurt on it. I've never tried that. I have something easier. All you do is you make mud, water and dirt, nothing special. You smear mud all over the pot, let it sit for about 24 hours and then rinse it off. And then so quickly, within days, you'll see that your terracotta pot is forming these beautiful calcium stains because this is from hard water. Or maybe minerals in the soil. I have no idea. I just know that you can put mud on your terracotta pots and that will age them so quick. I don't talk about this too often, but that is a Japanese maple tree. And I also have a couple crepe myrtle trees, which are starting to become in full bloom. This is a white Natchez crepe myrtle tree. And this is the 3rd year that I've had it, and this canopy is absolutely huge. After it's done blooming, this blooms for me for like, a good month or 2. It'll push out all these blooms, they'll fade away, and then it'll push out more blooms. I will probably limit up, like maybe take that branch off and just keep the one that's in the center because I want the tree to get taller. And the only way I can do that is by limbing it up. Because look at how far these branches are just dangling down with the weight of the flowers. Now, if I were to stand behind my water fountain, this is a backside view. And I used to have stacked tires as planters, but I replaced those with whiskey barrels. And I'm so happy I made that switch. Inside each whiskey barrel, I have a miniature rose with strawberries growing on the outside. And this is my beautiful Gara. I cut it all the way back and it's already fleshing out with new growth and new blooms. The one thing I love about the Gara, even when it's not blooming, the tips of the Gara have this beautiful, deep reddish color. Look at how beautiful that is. So even if it's not producing blooms, I think the foliage in itself is so pretty. And over here I have more cacti and succulent. another miniature rose, a geranium, lemon coral sedum, and I'm taking pieces from the lemon coral sedum, and as you can see, I'm spreading that out. My plan is, since it's doing so well here, I know it's a good spot for it, I'm going to continue this blessing and add more lemon coral sedum down here. It's kind of like half shade, half sun. This is an old barrel planter with an agave and a cacti in that painted pot, and yeah. I propagated a piece of string of pickles and I planted it right there. Miniature rose. And this is where I put my euphorbia ascot rainbow. I think it'll do better here. And some hostas, and I have another Japanese maple tree right there. I call this area my happy place. It's part of my little patio where I have garden decor, a vintage sink, and my watering can collection, colored bottles and vases, and this gets all shade. Inside that vintage sink is a maidenhair fern, and I cut that back every year and it grows back so fast. And inside this pot I have another Japanese maple that I grew from a tiny little stem, a couple coleus plants and in colorful pots. I painted the orange one myself. I just tipped it upside down and dripped paint down it. Cute little plant stand I found in the street. Somebody was throwing it away, so I painted it. An old window. Signs. I buy the signs at thrift stores and then I repaint them. I cover them in paint and put my own design on them. Some saws that I painted Home Sweet Home, and some old license plates. These are real license plates. They're not just novelty plates you can get at the hobby store. Those are actually real. That one was from 1936. I think that's just so amazing, and I always wonder, where did that person have it? Fun little sign that says, "Don't worry, be happy, and Jesus saves." Have an old lawnmower and one of those old stepping stools. You ever remember those when you were a child? With a beautiful yucca growing out of that green ceramic square pot. Little stand with more succulents and decorative containers. See, so you can kind of see how my thought process works. I want that Bougainvillea to grow all the way across the patio roof. We'll see if it gets there, but it's definitely worth a try. This is my beautiful Lenten rose, and for some reason in the middle of summer it's blooming for me. I thought they only came up in early spring, but oh well. My girlfriend Kelly made this for me using fishing lures and old spoons, and this really opens up. It's like a wind chime. I absolutely love it. But since we're over here, let's address the elephant in the room, my new wishing well garden. Now, if you remember, this used to be my old bridge garden, but my grandkids kept crashing into it. So Grandma said, I have to come up with a better plan. And yes, just like in my bridge garden, I'm still using my mirror trick. That's actually an illusion. See? There I am. It gives the illusion like the path is going farther than it really is. So I changed things up, and in all honesty, I actually like this better. Now my grandchildren can play here safely. There's a little path there for them to walk on, and they can walk on this path as well. And inside the wishing well, I'm growing more wave petunias. And because it gets shade back there, I planted some impatiens with another one of those rock purslanes. That's going to spread out and it'll make these long, pretty shoots that will kind of frame the wishing well. And where it's sunny, I planted marigolds. And I left this little space right there for little foot traffic so the grandkids can walk behind this area in front of it without stepping on plants. So with that being said, I just want to say don't ever be scared or nervous to make changes in your garden or even in your life for that matter. Sometimes change is necessary. Change is growth, and we never know unless we try. And the way I feel is that sometimes the changes can be blessings in disguise. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you have a beautiful day in your garden too. Bye.